record this. Awesome. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us on our very first live Zoom chat for 2023. Thank you to Gillian and Ben for joining us from Camp Blue Star. So excited to get an opportunity to chat with you guys again and talk about summer camp and just get as many people excited about coming to Blue Star as we can. How are you guys?
Great. We're excited to talk about camp.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Gillian, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then the same with you, Ben, once she's done.
So I grew up as a camper at Blue Star. I started going when I was 8 years old. It runs in my family too. My dad was a camper at Blue Star, and my grandmother actually worked there. So Blue Star tends to hook you and keep you around. And then I worked every summer that I was in university. And when the time came to graduate and get the real job, I got the golden ticket and got to work for camp year round. So I've been working full time for Blue Star for 11 years now, which is crazy. And I love what I get to do, get to be part of the Blue Star magic, and really excited to bring staff together from all over the world.
Oh, awesome. And Ben, tell us a little bit about your camp journey.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a weird and wonderful camp journey for me. I started when I was 18, 19 years old, actually with CCUSA, and I've been at Blue Star now for coming on 11 summers. So originally from Melbourne in Australia, and yeah, I've just gradually worked my way up over time at Blue Star, and lucky enough to now work full-time year-round for the company as well. So it's been a great experience, and yeah, hoping to bring everyone on board.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, look, we've been placing Aussies at Blue Star for like 11, actually a lot more longer than 11 years. And everyone just has the most amazing experience and the most amazing time. Gillian, tell us a little bit about the history of Blue Star. How did it start? And, and maybe a little bit about, the age group of the kids, co-ed camp, those type of things.
Yeah, so Blue Star was started in 1948. It was started by 3 brothers, and it started as one of the only Jewish summer camps in the South. So it's been a family-owned and operated camp since 1948. We're going on our 76th season, and we're in our 3rd generation of owners within the same family. So the current Blue Star owners, Lauren's grandfather was one of the original founders. So family-owned. And you really can feel, the family environment and the family feel around you at camp. And we have campers from all over the world, actually. We've got, we cover, I think it's like 30 states in America, and we just did the math. It's around 10 or so countries or something like that, that campers come from. Our campers are ages 7 to 15. And they can come to camp for 2 different sessions. Our first session is 4 weeks. Second session is 3 weeks. So they can be there for 4 weeks, 3 weeks, or all 7 weeks. They sleep over. So we're a residential camp. And we cover a little bit of everything at camp. We like to call our program Challenge by Choice. So the kids will pick their own activities, and hopefully they're really excited about the activities that they get to do. So they're not being assigned as a cabin. They're not, their parents aren't picking for the activities for them ahead of time. They get to have a little bit of independence and choose what excites them. So we always like to say, if you're a kid who's really into arts, you can create, build your schedule around all of our arts programs. If you're really into land sports, you can pick basketball and soccer. If you're into outdoor adventure, you can focus on rock climbing and mountain biking or whitewater kayaking. So you can really make it whatever kind of camp you want it to be.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Oh, look, it's amazing. I know that you've hired such great Aussies and Kiwis, actually, and other internationals from CCUSA for those that are jumping in and joining us as well. And they just love the family feel, as you said, and they love the opportunity to jump in and share their skills. When you are looking at hiring your staff, one of the questions I guess we always get is like, oh, but I've never taught it before. Tell us a little bit, what sort of skill level are you looking for when you're sort of, interviewing staff?
So we look for people with all different levels of experience. We have lots of different types of jobs at camp. So sometimes we look to hire general counselors, where you're not teaching an activity. Your main focus is living in the cabin with the kids and looking out for their well-being. So you have to be good with kids, you have to be excited about being at a summer camp, but you don't have to have a specific skill set. And then we do have a separate set of staff who teaches the activities, and we keep those two staffs pretty separate. Our philosophy is kind of the divide and conquer method. So you're either focusing on the well-being of the kids or you're focusing on teaching an activity. And when you're not doing both of those, you can give your full attention to whatever your main responsibility is. So general counselors are there to look out for the well-being of the kids. And then our activity staff are there to, again, teach all of the different activities. So for some of the activity staff, we do look for people who have previous teaching experience, just because it's all that you're going to be doing while you're at camp. But as long as you have an interest in a particular area, we do offer a lot of certification and training courses once you get to camp. So you don't have to be a professional whitewater kayaker. We'll put you through those courses, but we do look for a little bit of previous experience, just because it's your main focus. But we may have positions that you didn't realize were a job at camp or an activity that kids take. So even if you're not, there's not a hobby that you think would qualify you to work at camp, just talk to us, because there is a chance that we might be able to make something work.
Perfect. Now, and then the general counselors they're like a cabin counselor, so they'll be in a cabin with a group of kids. Do your activity counselors also share a cabin responsibility as well? Are they in a cabin with kids as well for night?
They are not. They live separately to the campers. Again, when we divide those two main responsibilities, sometimes you have to use the evenings to come up with a lesson plan for the next day or prepare the equipment for your activity area. So again, we don't want to be pulling away from the focus of the campers to be doing that. But the nice thing about it is you do have a little bit of flexibility. So if you're an activity staff member and you're not, working on a lesson plan for the next day, you are welcome to be involved in whatever you'd like with whatever's going on with the campers. You just aren't required to do that.
Awesome. So yeah,
counselors are there to do it.
Yeah, definitely. Ben, what was your role at camp your first summer, and sort of progress through there from there?
I've been through 5 or 6 different roles at camp now, always kind of like a new journey and a new challenge. So I actually started as a general counselor in my first summer, looking after our junior boys. So their age kind of 7, 8, 9 years old, that age range. But I think that's the great thing about Blue Star. Whilst I didn't have being 18 years old, I didn't have 10 years of childcare experience or anything like that. I had a background working with kids, but we kind of put our staff through a 10-day staff training before our campers arrive. So it kind of gives you all those tools and skills necessary to be the best general counsel you are. We don't just show up and get thrown in the deep end and go, hey, here's 10 kids, good luck, make some memories with these kids. There's definitely a kind of a good training base there to work from. And then also kind of the way our management is structured, there's always someone to lean on, and there's that support there for you the whole way through as well. So I think that was the big thing for me when I got there, was just how much help there is and how much training there is to kind of assist you as you go through.
Awesome. Well, look, let me see if I can get this to work properly, and let me see if I can share my screen. So bear with me for a minute. Please tell me if you guys don't see this, but we put together a little page, a job page for everyone. It kind of runs through a little bit of information about camp. What I do love about Blue Star, your dates actually fit in really well with kind of like our university timetable, here in Australia, especially the uni breaks. A lot of times we do get uni students who go, hey, look, I'd love to go to camp during during the June, July period. And unfortunately, a lot of our camps, they might start in June, but they finish in mid to late August. So therefore, they can't, a lot of uni students can't do it because they're missing uni. And so they get in trouble for that one. But your dates actually fit in quite well with our uni break dates, potentially, early beginning of June. So, flying across the international date line, you arrive the same day that you leave. And then finishing on the 30th of July, you'd probably be home by the beginning of August, like the 1st or the 2nd of August. So it could potentially work in really, really well, especially there are a lot of courses out there that don't actually have mid-year exams. And so therefore it does work in quite well. And we're seeing quite a number of universities that sort of fall into that situation. So look, that's something really important if you're looking at this and going, oh, but I'm at uni, can I fit it in? So jump on, check out your uni timetable, especially now they've been released for 2023, and check it out. For those that are not aware of where we at Blue Star is, so we'll just sort of, do a little zoom out here. So we are talking about, you're not that far from Charlotte, and we're on the East Coast of America. So if we were to scroll up, there's Washington, D.C. there. And typically, how far out are you from the closest city there, Jillian?
So Hendersonville is our local town, and it's about a 10-minute drive from camp. I always like to say we get the best of both worlds. In Western North Carolina, we're surrounded by really beautiful natural resources. There's amazing waterfalls, there's amazing hikes and views and rivers and mountains, but we're not totally remote. We're not in the middle of nowhere. We have Wi-Fi on camp. Hendersonville has restaurants and Walmart and a movie theater and everything you need. So we're not, hours away from civilization. But then the closest bigger city would be Asheville, which is about 40 minutes from camp. It's really up and coming. It's a really cool scene. There's a lot of breweries, there's live music, there's great restaurants in Asheville. And then if you're looking for, a much bigger city, Charlotte or Atlanta. Charlotte's about 2 hours away and Atlanta is about 3 hours.
Yeah, perfect. And then obviously staff on their time off are able to jump in and sort of head off there. And do you organize trips for the staff, or do they jump in with the Americans who are their new best friends that own cars?
Yeah, a little bit of both. They are, or I think I might be frozen. Staff can go on camp field trips. Sometimes we'll organize buses or vans and say we're stopping at this restaurant, or we're going here or going there. But also, your free time is your own, and you can choose to do what you'd like and organize your own transportation or jump in with a friend. Really, whatever you want.
Awesome. Well, look, I won't play the whole video because it does go for quite some time, but we'll play a little bit of it just to give folks a really good understanding of the magic of Blue Star. So let me see if I can get this to work.
Well, Blue Star is my home away from home. I've been coming for 2 years now, and I am having a blast.
Magic is you get to find people that you've never known before.
It's just the vibe and all your best friends around you.
It brings everyone together.
Kayaking, basketball, pottery, nature.
Just everything about it is amazing, and it just makes me a much happier person to be here.
Just hang out with your friends. It won't be long.
Just feel so at home. Everyone accepts everyone, whether you're a new camper or you've been here for as long as you can remember.
Having fun is what camp is all about.
I start the countdown from about 275 days down to 0 days, and I'm always thinking about camp.
The minute you drive into camp, you feel an energy that you only experience here. Blue Star's a magical place. It feels like home.
You ready to go?
I can't think of a better place to spend my summer.
When I arrived at camp, all my best friends and cabin mates were waiting, and it was the best feeling in the world to be back at my home.
Blue Star is beautiful. I love the trees, the lake, the mountains are just absolutely gorgeous. You feel the nature around you, and it's beautiful.
At camp, you live in a cabin with other children and 2 counselors, and it's really all about that little community that you're developing, that little family that you have with each other.
As parents, we feel that it's essential that every camper feels known, needed, cared for, and is able in some way to shape their community. One of the things that sets Blue Star apart is that we have been family-owned and run for over 65 years.
In 1948, my father and his brothers and their wives all were founders of Blue Star Camps, and they began the magic which was instilled in Blue Star both in a physical sense and in a spiritual sense. After 40 years of being an active camp director, I can tell you that my family did not expect that their ambitions were going to be fulfilled to the extent that Blue Star has blossomed and become such an institution in the world.
So Blue Star is a really unique camp in that we actually have two separate sets of staff. One staff is our activity specialist, and their whole job is to offer the highest quality instruction to our campers in all of the activities we offer at Blue Star.
My favorite option is arts and crafts.
I take fitness for AM option and DJ for PM options.
And the other part of our staff is our cabin counselors, and there's always 2 counselors per cabin, and their entire job is to make sure that every child is safe and having a fun, incredible experience.
Sharing a cabin with other girls is really, really cool.
Well, I love waking up with my best friends next to me every day.
Everyone's always smiling and they're always playing.
I've made a lot of friends at camp. I feel like I've known them my whole life.
I pretty much grew up at summer camp. I was a camper my whole life, and then a counselor, camp leader, and now I have the privilege of getting to be a camp director and owner and following in my grandparents and my parents' footsteps. And the great privilege of that is that I get to help give back this beautiful experience to a whole new generation of kids.
Seth and Lauren are really easy to talk to, and ever since my first year, they have been people that I always see around camp.
They both have such a wonderful knowledge about kids and about the camp.
And they're working their hardest to make sure every camper has the ideal Blue Star experience, the one I had growing up, the one that I'm here to provide for the campers as well.
Such as the...
All right, we might jump out there, but the rest of the video is up on our main screen. Sorry, give me a minute here, which is great. But what I did want to jump into here as well, Gillian, is to sort of run through the roles and the positions that you're hiring for. Tell us a little bit about, what they are, and as a counsellor, what might our role be, maybe like, as a horseback, someone working the horses, what would I be expected to do? Or if I'm doing rock climbing or those type of things. Give us an example.
Yeah, well, the list you can see there are some specific jobs we're looking for. But again, if you have a unique skill or hobby and you think it would, might fit in a camp environment, we're always happy to talk and figure out the best position for you on camp. We like to say we want the right people on the bus, and we can make the rest work. So these specific jobs, if you're working as an activity specialist, which you can see archery, fitness, farm animal care, horseback riding, those are what we would call our activity specialists. So you'd wake up in the morning, you'd grab a quick breakfast in the dining hall. And then we teach different, what we call the Blue Star options, which are really the electives. So each hour is a different age group's elective hour. So from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. you might have the 9-year-old girls taking your activity. So if you're teaching archery, for example, they'd come up to the archery range with their counselors, and if you were the archery instructor, you would prepare whatever lesson you've prepared and teach them for that hour. When that hour ends, the 13-year-old boys may be the next ones to come up for their activity. So the kids come in with all different levels of experience. Some of them are beginners, some of them may be advanced, but it's all going to be done and separated by age. So you can cater your lesson to, you might speak differently to a 9-year-old girl than you do a 13-year-old boy. So they're not all combined together. And then the kids, like I said before, pick their own activities and then they stick with them for a week. So they actually have the opportunity to develop a skill. Using the pottery activity as an example, if you're the pottery instructor, the kids are going to have the opportunity to learn a little bit about it, use the wheels in pottery, and then have time to fire whatever they've made in the kiln and glaze it and then take home a finished product. Or if they're going rock climbing, we're not just putting a harness on the kid and pulling them up the tower. They're going to learn about how to belay. They're going to learn how to properly put on a harness. They're going to actually get to develop a skill in that activity area. So you get to spend at least a week with the campers who have signed up for your activity. So you get to have that opportunity that the counselors have as well to form really meaningful connections and relationships with the campers too. And then if the campers, want to try something new, they pick something else the next week. Or if they just loved rock climbing and had the best time, they can keep signing up for it. Again, it's the challenge by choice model where they get to make it their own. So each hour, again, you'd be with a different age group of kids. And then you'd, have an hour off, some time for lunch in there. And then at the end of the day, we usually wrap up activities around 6 p.m. And then you have time to either help out in our programming office, planning big camp-wide events like our carnival or our color war, or getting involved with the evening programs that the campers are doing. And then there will be, for some different job areas, there's some shutdown tasks at the end of the day. For example, if you are a part of our horseback staff, got to feed the horses at night. So there might be times where you're going back and taking care of the animals or doing something like that. And, we don't just leave, the archery, the bows and arrows don't just sit out all night long. So there's some cleanup that happens at the end of every day. And then you wake up the next morning and do it all over again.
Definitely. Ben, as a general counsellor, for example, when you rocked up to the archery field, what was your responsibility there? Were you jumping in and just assisting with the archery instructors?
Yeah, I think that's the great thing about having the split roles is that, your goal as a general counsellor, you kind of get the best of both worlds. And it's kind of a choose your own adventure day. So you will go along to the activity with the kids, but it also gives you a chance to participate in the activity. So whilst there's that designated activity leader instructing, you're kind of that extra set of eyes and ears there to help that instructor, but it also gives you an opportunity to participate as well. So you get to both work on your kind of development in terms of instructing and leading and learning a new skill, but also get the fun of still running around with the kids all day as well. So it's kind of that best of both worlds position.
Perfect. Yeah, no, it sounds amazing. Gillian, we do get, questions sort of saying, okay, cool. Well, I'm working, all these hours, what sort of break do I get? Like, do I get breaks during the day? Do I get nights off, days off? How does that work while you're at camp for the summer?
Sure. So everybody, no matter what job you're doing on camp, gets one full day off each week. It's a 24-hour period. Sometimes it's around 25 hours. If you're a cabin counselor, we usually do split days. So that means you would finish work around lunchtime on Tuesday, if that's your day off, and you just have to be back at work around lunchtime on Wednesday. So you can choose to go off camp, stay in a hotel locally, explore the city, or you can choose to stay on camp for your time off. Some of the other positions, you'll have the full day off. So when you wrap up activities on Friday afternoon, you have from then until Sunday morning activities start again, and you have the whole day Saturday off. So everybody has one full day off. Throughout the day, the cabin counselors will have at least an hour off. And then the activity specialist will also have, kind of a rotating hour where they don't have an activity to teach. The counselors then get every other night off. You're either on duty with the cabin, even when the kids are sleeping, adults still need to be around in case there's an emergency. So every other night off, and then the activity specialist, again, you do have the evenings a little bit more to yourself, depending on, whatever work needs to be done for your activity area. So it ends up being quite a bit of time to yourself.
Yeah, definitely. Look, and for those people that are really keen, we're very excited. Ben and another Aussie. You like to hire Bens, so it's good from Australia. We like that.
His name is Ben. Come to Blue Star.
They're actually going to be in Australia, and we're going to set up some in-person for those people that are in Melbourne. You'll be able to apply to the Camp Counselors USA program. We'll be able to set you up with some interviews on Friday, the 13th. So that's next Friday. So if you're really keen, jump on and get your application done through CCUSA.com.au. Now, if you don't live in Melbourne, that's okay. We're not expecting you to fly from, Perth all the way over. Gillian and the Bens are more than happy to jump on and do Zoom interviews. So we can set those up for next Friday, the 13th, if you're really keen. Friday the 13th. Or as Gillian said, she's happy to continue doing Zoom interviews throughout the course of January and into early Feb. So look, we'd love to have you jump on. Like I said, it's really easy. Go to ccusa.com.au or to co.nz, or ccusa.co.uk, wherever it might be. Start your Camp Counselors USA application form. Once you've done that, our staff will reach out to you and go, great, and start talking about your application. That's when you let us know and say, hey, cool, I'm super keen. I want to book in an interview with Blue Star. We'll get you all hooked up and get you locked in. We'll talk you through the other steps. You know, there'll be a terms and conditions you've got to read through. We are going to need to get some references from you, but we'll talk you through those steps. So make it nice and simple and easy. That's what we're here for. CCUSA is one of the only visa sponsors in Australia. There's only 2 of us. So, and we are the largest J1 visa organization in Australia that sends folks overseas, you know, and pretty large in New Zealand as well. So we're happy to accommodate and help you out. Once you are placed, hopefully at Blue Star, we'll walk you through the process of getting your J1 visa. You do have to go to a consulate in either Melbourne, Sydney, or Perth or Auckland and attend your visa appointment there. It's not too scary, is it, Ben, going for your visa appointment?
No, I think the whole concept around being told you have to go for an interview sounds a little bit daunting, but it's a lot more streamlined and less daunting than you would think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, and that's what our job is here. We're going to help you and walk you through that whole process and make it really simple. Then we'll organize a pre-departure meeting, get your flights organized, and then you fly over. And at the other end, you know, Blue Star's going to be there waiting for you. And I know, Gillian, you were talking a little bit about the arrival date. You're quite flexible. You've got some flexibility on there depending on flight prices and so forth.
Yeah, we understand that you're booking a flight from across the world. So we want to try to help out as much as possible. So if you're, you know, set to arrive at camp for your, you know, pre-camp training courses on May 22nd, but there's a flight that just makes a lot more sense for you on May 20th, you know, we're definitely able to be flexible there. Ben is actually our transportation director, so he'll help coordinate all of those flights and everything for you. So if you have a question or having a hard time finding a flight, Ben's your guy. He'll be able to answer all those questions for you. And another question we get a lot is there are 2 airports near Blue Star that we will pick staff up from. So as long as you get to one of those 2 airports, you don't have to worry about anything else. We'll pick you up. We'll bring you to camp. You don't have to book your own transportation. We've got it covered. So we're, you know, CCUSA holds your hand through the whole process of getting the visa, getting you, you know, kind of through the international travel part. And then as soon as you get over here, we'll take it from there and we'll walk you through the rest.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what we love. It's such a great partnership we have with Blue Star and we love it. So look, and definitely I know that the media has been talking about how expensive flights are. We have been jumping on and checking them. If you were just going for a 1 or 2 week holiday, they are quite expensive, but we know that the flights that sort of are leaving in May or early June, coming back in late July or August, they're outside of school holiday time periods, and they're for that longer time period, they tend to actually not be as expensive as what sort of like a lot of the media is sort of portraying there. So definitely don't sort of let that scare you off from jumping on either. And, you know, Ben will help you out. He's an Aussie from Melbourne, so he'll be able to, as can we. So it's perfect there. Before I throw back to you, Gillian, Ben, as an Aussie, what's some words of advice for those that are thinking of Blue Star? What's some words of advice you got for them?
I think the way that Blue Star is unique for me, and speaking from my personal experience, is kind of the opportunities it provides for you. Obviously, I kind of signed up as a 1-year gap year program, and 1 year somehow turned into 11. So, you know, starting off in that general counsellor position to now working full time for the company, they've given me so many opportunities to grow and learn myself. And we're always, you know, invested in people through training courses, and giving them opportunities to kind of, if they're interested in something, giving them the opportunity to see how it goes and display those skills. So I think that's the big thing for me, is that once you're there, you kind of can get to experience what it's like and see what doors it opens for you, whether it's at Blue Star or through the friends you meet there as well. It can open up many doors. For myself, I went and worked in Canada for a little bit, worked in Japan for a little bit. And all of those opportunities were provided by people that I met at Blue Star. So it kind of takes you on some weird and wonderful turns. So maybe don't tell mum when you're like, I'm going to camp and I'm never coming home. But, you know, you never know where it's going to lead. And it's kind of the opportunities that it provides that's been the main thing for me that I think I would definitely encourage people to come to camp.
Awesome. Awesome. Gillian, words of advice?
Yeah, just be open-minded, and we're friendly, we try to be warm and welcoming and inclusive. So don't be nervous. We're here to answer any questions you have. Like Ben said, the way, even when you're at camp, the way our leadership staff is structured, there's always somebody for you to turn to. We're always happy to answer questions. We're always happy to help however we can. So we're just really excited to welcome people into the Blue Star family and continue the tradition of hiring Australians and Kiwis that, they've been coming to Blue Star for many, many decades. And I'll throw out there, even throughout the pandemic, when it was really tough in 2020, we still opened camp and ran camp and had staff from Australia and New Zealand come over successfully. When they made it home, they got flights home. Everything went well.
Yeah.
So if it went well in 2020, it'll certainly go well in 2023, and we're here to help.
Definitely. Steph, did you have any questions?
So was that me, Steph?
Yeah.
I can't even see. Hang on, there we go. At the moment, I don't think I have any questions. I was sort of more looking at this as a program for 2024, I think. Sorry. Oh, there we all are. But yeah, it sounds amazing. I think I've actually been looking at this since I was about 18, so similar to Ben. Like I'm 26 at the moment, and yeah, it's always been something that I've wanted to do, but university, full-time work, it's always just been in the way. And then I feel like the next 1 or 2 years is just, time to get out and live. And yeah, definitely makes it sound amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, look, and Steph, you're there's a lot of people in the same boat as yourself, and look, we get the pandemic kind of put a hold on a lot of travel, and so therefore, there's a lot of people that are super keen to get traveling and get moving again. I guess from our words of advice would be just to jump out and do it. I speak to a lot of folks that are like, oh, I wish I'd done that when I was younger, and life gets in the way. University, then you get a job, and then all of a sudden you get you start dating, and then so things are always going to back up. But the camp is a unique experience that in Australia and New Zealand, it just doesn't really exist here. And I'm a little biased because I went to camp for 5 years and been with CCUSA for a lot longer than that, and I've been so blessed to be able to send, I would say, probably around about 30 to 40,000 Aussies and Kiwis overseas to work at summer camp with my time in 30 years with CCUSA. And it's just a life-changing experience for so many people. And, like I said, those that go over, it's life-changing for them. Those that don't are always telling me later on in life going, oh, I wish I'd done that. So, my word of advice is to just jump on board and go out and experience. It's definitely going to be a life changer. Your skill set, your experience will definitely, as Ben's proven, you'll go in all different ways and shapes and adventures. But you'd never do that if you just sat here in Melbourne or in Sydney, or Auckland, and just sort of got on with your normal life, get out there and travel and have that adventure, and be a role model for kids. And that's probably the most rewarding thing that I got out of camp. And Ben and Lauren and Gillian, I'm sure you're the same. It's, being there for those kids and just seeing that bond that you get with them is life-changing. And that's probably the most amazing thing that I got out of camp, is just those friendships from there and growing up, I guess, is really important. So yeah, definitely.
I guess like one of the questions that I'd have after you mentioned how many people you've been able to recruit and send over to these programs would be how, I guess, competitive is it to get this type of opportunity?
Yeah, look, we work with, obviously work with Blue Star, but we also work with almost 1,000 camps across the USA. So with that in mind, we've been lucky enough to place everyone at summer camp for 35 years. So if we've accepted you on the program, you know, we're dedicated to going forward and finding you a job. So that's not just finding a job, but we've got everyone their visas as well. So, you know, that's the, you know, I went to camp. I want to make sure that we're not wasting people's time by having them sign up and then, oh, too bad, so sad, we can't do anything for you. That's not what CCUSA is about. So we want to make sure that we are getting you those jobs. We are making sure you've got your visa and you're getting on that, you're able to get on that plane and get to camp. And that's, you know, the staff that work for me and myself, that's what our role is. You know, we want to make sure that we can get you. So Jillian and Ben at the other end meet you at that airport, and then they take you into their family, and you know, it's an extended family of CCUSA and Blue Star or whatever camp that you might get placed at. So look, if you're enthusiastic, you're fun, you're patient, you like working with children, you know, that's probably key. You know, then that's the key component. Skills, you know, we can all teach a skill. You know, as Julian said, Blue Star does these amazing courses. You know, what you look for, Julian, as you said, it's like a personality, is that love of wanting to work with kids and making an impact, a positive impact. The rest we can teach, you know, and every camp out there is very much along that same line. So Julian, anything else to add?
I'll add to that. You know, camps come in all different shapes and sizes. Blue Star is a pretty large camp. So we have around 650 campers each session. And so we are hiring over 300 staff every summer. So a lot of those Aussies and Kiwis are coming to Blue Star. But also if we're not the right fit or the right type of program for a participant, like Snowy said, there's thousands of other types of camps out there that they'll help you to find a camp that is the right fit for you. You know, maybe a day camp is a better fit, or maybe a smaller camp, or, you know, and that's something that they have experience in, and we'll be able to say, well, you know, you might do well in a large camp environment. Let me introduce you to Blue Star, or, you know what, a camp that is, you know, a week-long camp and the campers come each week and then switch out. That might be a better fit. And here's another great opportunity. So they really are knowledgeable about the types of camps that exist and what what we're looking for from a camp's perspective. And they are some good matchmakers in getting to the right places.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's a nice way to put it. Good matchmakers. So it's good. Absolutely. Cool. Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully that answered your question, Steph.
Yeah, it did. It did.
Awesome.
Thank you for that.
Awesome. My pleasure. All right. Well, Gillian and Ben, thank you so much for jumping on. And hopefully those that are watching us live on Facebook or watching this on demand later, you know, jump in, sign up, and whether it be Blue Star, which we hope, which would be great for you to have an interview with. We've got those coming up. But like I said, we also work with a large number of other camps out there as well. So we'd love that opportunity to get you on board, to find you an amazing summer camp placement and just give you that amazing experience overseas. So Gillian, thank you so much for joining us, as is Ben. Thank you. We'll see you in Melbourne next week. So the weather's quite nice. I'm in Melbourne at the moment, so the weather's actually quite nice. So the sun's out, and so it's great. So thank you so much, Access, jumping on, and everyone else for watching us live. So thank you, everyone, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you
very much.